Aries, this is your Valentine's love reading. Now, it isn't for a specific time frame, but given that I only do them once a year, I think it's fair to assume that it's quite long term. And looking at the spread that you have, it does feel like quite a long-term spread. The other thing I'd say is that most of the readings I'm getting for Valentine's have some sort of deeper meaning within them, often about our concepts of love, what love is, and that's the reason for my somewhat provocative opening sequence. And that is, so many of us don't seem to fully understand what love is. And I believe that this year there's going to be a realisation that maybe we've got love wrong. If we look at the central card, well, no, let's go down to the bottom right first. Bottom right, Magician card. I think you've been manifesting love. Right now, I think you were successful. You found it. You found what feels like a wonderful love. Now let's go to that middle card, because the middle card is the card of poverty. So I think you have a very materialist view of love. And that's echoed in the future, because the future, we have a card of being careful with money, even you might say miserly with money. So you're certainly somehow equating love and money. The card or the energy that leads to the outcome is a card maybe of control, maybe of manipulation, and the outcome is a card of being bold, being brave, but maybe jumping to the wrong conclusions. Now, these are only energies impacting on your psyche, your conscious, your subconscious as well. And so you have free will and you can change things. And how you could change things is by recognising love as more of a partnership. Recognising that maybe you have roles, but you come together to create something better. Let's see if I'm right by going into more detail on all of these cards. Now, the energy that runs throughout the entire reading is an energy of poverty. Could be poverty and no friends, but in particular poverty. This is often a poverty mentality, so much as an objective situation. Although 2003, 2004, many of us have lost money, which does lead to a poverty mentality, of course, but maybe objectively you don't feel that rich. But how does that relate to love? Because of money is a man-made construct, whereas love is something really pure. So I think that what it's pointing to is that your attitude to love is a very materialistic attitude. An attitude of love and control. That's my feeling of what this is about, and certainly these Valentine's readings, this does appear to be a recurrent theme. In the past, we have the energy of the magician, an energy of manifesting. What were you manifesting? Well, this is a love reading, so it seems sensible to conclude that you were manifesting love. And I'm pretty certain that's what you were doing. You might not have been conscious that you were manifesting. It might simply have been wishing for love to come, putting your energies into love crossing your path. But I'm pretty certain that's what you were doing. And as we'll see from the next card, I'm pretty certain that you were successful in finding love, because that's what you put your energies into. Now, of course, I've said maybe you were just wishing for it. We can't discount that you were using love magic. It's entirely possible, but I think the most likely is that you were simply manifesting love. Now, why I believe you were successful is the current energy is an energy of love. It's an energy of partnership. It feels divine. It feels wonderful. I mean, you look at this rendering, you know, it's beautiful, isn't it? So you do appear to have been blessed with what you want. But I just have this worry that this love that you've been blessed with isn't necessarily the love that the universe sees as love. So what you might have received is what's known as a trophy wife. I suppose there's trophy husbands. But you seem to have convoluted love and money. And of course, this is going to be a year with CDCs. Money, in terms of the way most people see money, will disappear. Or at least that's what the plan is. I don't think it'll work, but you know. Yeah. So I think you've manifested love and got a materialistic type of love because of you can't break out of this materialistic view of the world. Now, I said that energy of poverty was more a mindset rather than an objective situation. But the future energy is one of you being careful with money. So I suppose it doesn't resolve it, does it? Because it still could be this poverty mindset. Or it could be that you're purposely having to save money. And saving money seems like if indeed we can speak of money, seems like a very reasonable thing to be doing in these very uncertain times. So I can't argue against this as a strategy, as it were. But it seems to be more evidence of my view that this is a love based on ownership and control. The energy that leads to the outcome is the Queen of Wands. Now, she is a lovely queen. I'm going to take a rather negative view of this, but she is a lovely queen. It's, despite the rendering, it's got nothing to do with a penchant for S&M, although you might want to read that into it, particularly given everything else that I've been saying. But what I read into it is she's somebody that works with others to get the best out of them. But at her worst, this is manipulative. It's somebody that uses others to get what they want. And, going back, forgive me, I can only use the word trophy wife. Trophy husband doesn't seem real, but, it could be either gender. But, the idea of a trophy wife to show off to others, I mean, this isn't what love's about at all. And I do get the very strong feeling that this is what this is all about. And so you're even using your partner to pursue your own goals. You know, the idea of having eye candy on your arm to show how important you are is all that's wrong with the sort of psychopathic view of love, isn't it? You know, I mean, I've got a very, very beautiful wife who's 18 years younger than me. So, you know, I know the attraction of having a very beautiful partner. But the last thing on my mind in choosing her was eye candy, you know. I won't go into my whole story, but if you were to know it all, then there's no way you'd describe my wife as a trophy wife, even though she might look like it. So yeah, there's manipulation going on here, and you're the manipulator. Now let me tell you, there is a downside of having a very beautiful wife or a very handsome husband. And that is that others not just try and take them from you, but have an assertiveness about it and a blatantness about it. Now, admittedly, my wife's Indonesian and I live in Indonesia, but Indonesian males will sort of approach my wife with the type of line, what on earth would you see in a foreigner? You know, when you can have a real Indonesian man like me. And they'll do that in front of me. Maybe they're hoping that by speaking Bahasa Indonesia that I won't understand. But, you know, I don't think so. It's blatant. And the reason why I don't consider my wife a trophy wife at all is that we work together. We work together. I couldn't survive in Indonesia without her. We have to be a team. And a wonderful team we are. And that is your way out of this melee. To see it as being teamwork. To see yourselves as dependent upon each other. To recognise their qualities, even though they may not be qualities that you value as much as your qualities. You know, maybe you're the breadwinner and you see that as all important. But, you know, I'm sure that your partner has wonderful qualities, and if you can understand them and the importance of that to your relationship, then you can break out of these mindsets that you've got. Now, in my introduction, I said that the outcome was you rushing to conclusions. And that might be still right, but let's just call it rushing for now, because I've got it slightly wrong on what this energy is. It's an energy of bravery. It's an energy of sort of huge self-confidence, but too much self-confidence. It's an energy of rushing into things and getting them wrong. Let's go with this sort of trophy wife analogy. And that would be, you know, you found yourself a trophy wife and you assumed that by keeping them in handbags and shoes and paying for them to go to the salon that they'd be happy. But, you know, even though my wife loves handbags and shoes and going to the salon, most people are much more dimensional than that, as indeed is my wife. And so you don't keep people happy simply through monetary things. And, you know, you felt that those monetary bonds are all important. And maybe you are suffering from a degree of loss of money, loss of income in these troubled times. Maybe things are going slightly astray in your relationship. I don't know. It's not necessarily saying any of that. But what it is suggesting to me is that you've not found love. You've just found what you thought was love. So we can summarise for you, Aries. Aries, I think you've fallen into a trap that many people do. And these Valentine's Day readings are very much echoing this across many signs. And that is you've got a materialistic, even you might want to call it psychopathic, a view of love. And that is that love is about control and ownership. And you manifested this sort of love. You manifested it and you were successful. And you got, and you know, it could be, please, you might be male or female, you know, and I'm not being pejorative, but you got, the energy you got was that of a trophy wife. So you got a very materialistic type of love. It feels good, it feels like what you wanted. Does something go wrong with money? Well, it's entirely possible, but you know, if you've painted yourself as the provider and can no longer provide so well, maybe things aren't going so well with this relationship. There's no indication that they're not. But certainly your view of money in this, of love in this materialistic way is going to have to change, and it will be causing problems. The other thing is that you're ever so slightly manipulative. Well, you might be very manipulative, I don't know. And it leads you into rushing into things. Maybe you rushed into this very love, you know. Again, using the trophy wife analogy, you know, if it was a trophy wife, you rushed into it because they were very beautiful. They presented themselves right. They were eye candy. But maybe you're beginning to realise they're not the person that you manifested even. Not the person that you thought they were. And now there is a solution to this, and that is to start seeing the qualities in your partner instead of seeing them as an appendage to yourself. Recognising what you can do together, how you can work together to create something much better. And I think by changing your attitudes to love, this is all resurrectable, including if you are facing monetary difficulties, working together on monetary issues. But the overall message is that you must start seeing the qualities in your loved one in order to achieve something much better than what you have now.